Death prowls above. Ascend only if you seek it.
The masked creature is mute, save the occasional moan. The servant emits a menacing growl. The creature warns you away with a throat melt. At first glance, the spirit seems much like its host, hollow, detached. Yet, in its eyes, you see something more ominous, something not apparent before. Agony. Nothing happens. The spirit darts its eyes about, all the more tortured.
Spirit as haunted as the graveyard it roams.
The spirit cannot speak, or perhaps... You look up to the portrait, its subject's face staring right back at you, one eyebrow raised, as if lifted by a fishhook.
Contentious cur! Thou wouldst dare prance and gallivant about without a summons? Get thee gone, for at the count of 12 less 2, the sentries advance.
You come up empty. Perhaps there is nothing to find.
This is what Rivellon has become. It has a sanctuary for greedy poltroons seeking riches from noble patrons of the visual arts.
The painted man harumphs.
If you think the Master loves you more than he loves me, then, Dot, you're a bigger idiot than you look.
Master's the master. Master knows the dog is better than the cat. Master says good dog. Does Master say good cat? No. No, Master does not. See?
The cat gives the dog a long, languid look of carefully disguised contempt. Then...
Settle an argument for us. Dog's body here thinks that because the Master is grateful for his, meaning the dog's, mindless devotion, he loves his dog more than he loves his cat. I, on the other hand, know full well that it's the Master's admiration for my general bearing, demeanour and intrinsic greatness what is most indicative of a state of actual love. He near worships me, he does.
Master loves his dog. Master thinks his cat is cool, not the same thing.
You're a moron.
No, I'm not. I'm black-brown.
See what I'm dealing with? Come on, settle the argument. Tell him he's wrong. Fine.
Dog.
Cat, obviously.
Dog.
You're so stupid.
Before you stands the ghost of an older woman. Clad in flowing Magister's robes, she peers around the room as if looking for something lost. On seeing you, she brightens and extends an ethereal hand.
Magister Pavlonia, charmed to meet you, I'm sure.
Your hand passes right through hers. She shrieks, horror animating her face.
Oh, my hand! My fingers! Well, really, I'm quite aware of that. But I am not fully... I keep forgetting things somehow. It's hard to hold all the threads together when you've fallen apart yourself. Wait, the spider! It was the spider! She chewed me. Bits of me. Slowly. I keep looking, but I can't find myself. Yes. I came from the Black Pits to negotiate with Riker here in his house. We needed to ensure that scoundrel wouldn't interfere with our plans there. He must have mixed something into the delightful rose tea he served me. And then... Next I knew, I was rolled up in webbing as his spider sucked the marrow right from my bones and nibbled my limbs off. I hope you didn't drink any tea downstairs. He's a master sorcerer. Everyone knows that. But he's too powerful to take to the joy. And besides, he had some business that coincided with Dallas's interests. Of course, if he were to act up, we could always work on his little vulnerability to fortify. So Dallas ordered him left alone, providing he didn't interfere with Magister business in the Black Pits.
She throws you a haughty glance. In the sharp lines of her face, you see steely determination overtaking the spirit's distracted manner.
None of your... Never mind.
The spider spindles right up to you, her long, long legs tickling the sandy floor. A malevolent intelligence gleams forth from 8 beady eyes. She opens her mouth, hissing at you.
Getting your mucky little boots in all the wrong places. Don't you know, my little pepper pot, that it's ever such bad manners to enter a queen's boudoir without permission? Did that overriker toss you upstairs, darling? Has he grown weary of milking my venom his very own self? Oh, precious. Then you are no more than any other fly in his web. Just like me.
Her laugh is blood-curdling, like offal being strained through a sewer grate.
You have time for a little story, then? With nobody here but us stuck flies, let me spin you a tale. Unseemly, especially for a webless wonder like yourself. Well, if you can't keep a civil tongue in your head, my princelings are hungry and Mama must feed them. No, just look at that healthy flush in your cheeks.
Her fangs drool venom that sizzles on the sand. But there's no time to think about all that, because raising up on her hind legs, she pounces right at you. The hatch is blocked tight by the high drifts of sand carpeting the floor. No matter how much you strain and grunt, the hatch barely budges. For this task, you are simply not strong enough. The hatch is blocked tight by the high drifts, straining and grunting. The spirit cannot speak. The dusty staircase leads to another hatch, no matter how much you strain. The dusty staircase, straining and grunting. You remember drinking ruby wine with Magister Boris in the armory after hours. You remember his deep hazel eyes, how he trembled as he kissed you. You remember all of it, the best night of your life. Pavlonia gazes searchingly around the floor near her, muttering to herself.
not a silent monk, but it seems just...
The creature barely notices your presence.
Locked in perpetual prayer. Keep trying, my friend.
In life, we are Earth's caretakers. In death,
We died
the skies.
glorious deaths.
We were picked off by spies.
The eagle glowers at you with one baleful eye, keeping the other eye firmly trained on the stringy morsels of rotting flesh dangling from its beak.
You dare touch Master's gifts. No invitation. Leave now. Leave me and Master alone.
We died glorious deaths.
We were picked off by spies. There was no glory and no point to it either.
We are an
The
inspiration.
eagle glowers at you with one...
You dare.
Watching the birds pick your body clean is almost soothing. At least you know you're doing some good for a creature. And it means that elf ain't getting his claws on my corpse. Not mine specifically, but he creeps from grave to sepulchre, taking what he wants. Whatever he wants.
A grim expression passes across her face as she looks out over the graveyard.
The dead don't rest easy in this garden. Not by half.
There was no glory and no...
He lives in the big house by the gate. I ain't about to wander up and ask for a name, mind you. The less I see of him, the happier I'll rest.
That inspiration. We're an example.
You watch yourself. There's a voice whispering promises to the dead around here. Word is that they'll be walking about with flesh on their bones again if they send you to the Hall of Echoes. You're God-woken, ain't you? You've a certain something about your aura. Don't ask me why. But someone out there's got it in for you and everyone like you.
That inspiration. We're an example.
Two dwarven spirits at loggerheads.
I recognise the lass. The Royal Guard had come to Bon Neffen, right on the sea. The poor, they were disappearing off the streets. The lass spoke out. The guard wanted her silent.
In a flash, you are both of them, brother and sister. Your feminine side is a rebel, rising up against the tyrannical queen. Your masculine side is a royalist, loyal to the monarch he loves. As the brother, you rescue your sister from the pikes of the Royal Guard. Together, you flee across the sea to the melting pot of Driftwood and Reaper's Coast. But in Driftwood, you visit the lizard.
Yeah, we're all curious from time to time. I don't blame him a bit. Sometimes you've got to let loose the beast.
You are the sister, and you know that something is wrong. You climb the stairs to rescue your brother, and find him fighting for his life against the dwarves who would rob him. Both of you die.
Damn it. Damn it all to hell. Just kids, both of them.
But your killers do right by their fellow dwarves, and bring you here to lay you to rest. As spirits, you fight for eternity. One convinced that the Queen is a tyrant, the other that your treason was wrong.
I want to say something trite, like, can't they just get along? But I know it's not so easy. Nothing is. Especially doing what you think is right. You see clearly then. He stood up for her. She stood up for everybody. It's the true measure of a heart. How you treat not those closest to you, but those you've never even met. His was big, but hers was bigger.
The sister smiles. She feels vindicated. Her brother still does not agree. The rebellion was a disaster. The rebellion was a mistake that cost them their lives.
You're lucky that elves don't creep up here too often. Them that's resting down below, though. To see that devil creeping about, pilfering what he wants, it don't bear thinking about.
We were picked off by spies. There was no glory and no point to it either.
She looks
We
as
are an
untamed as the bush she
inspiration
runs.
to our people.
Locked in perpetual prayer. Keep trying, my friend.
I've spotted something.
The plinth of the statue bears a series of deep, circular scratches upon its stone. The statue can be rotated. The skull. You cringe. The statue rotates with little resistance.
I've spotted something.
The headless statue looms over you. Its plinth bears the same rotation scratches as its counterpart.
I've spotted something.
You there! Help me, please! Some thoughtless fool buried me in this grave to be left as fodder for the worms. I can't be at peace in a place like this. I have to be put to rest according to lizard tradition. The eternal fire burns in the lizard quarter of the cemetery. I beg you, cast my remains into the fire. Set my spirit free. I will never know peace otherwise. I should have known your kind would seek recompense. Very well. Do as I ask, and you will be rewarded.
These must be the remains of that lizard spirit, just as he said.
It's hard not to feel some pride in reptilian engineering. I watched an elf spend hours trying to force his way into a lizard's chest. Eventually, he threw it into the flames, but still it sits there, indestructible. He did not leave empty-handed, unfortunately. I pity the poor salamander that he dragged back to his ghastly home.
Covered in fire. Even the stones are ablaze. It must be a lizard thing.
You have done me a great service, friend. Now, the Hall of Echoes beckons.
The spirit cannot speak, or perhaps chooses not to. boots are resplendent with polished ivory, heavy but well made, fit for a noble. The air around you glows with sudden heat. Specks of ash fall from the sky, summoning a fractured memory. Dig, work, deeper. By the Empress's order, you have to go deeper. As the memory fades, ghostly flames flicker on the surface of the polished sabatons.
I see you. You have the strength I've been looking for. Find where the archaeologist cut into the earth. I will draw strength from there to speak again.
The voice vanishes, but the bone-deep longing remains. You must dig in the east. You must. A terrible chill pervades the air as the ashen vision fades. Someone new is watching you. The spirit keeps glancing back. A difficult task since his shoulders are tense as iron.
How can I help?
The spirit of a dwarf frowns at you, suspicion drawing the lines of his face deep.
I don't hear any pickaxes. No shovels. Where are my lazy diggers? We can't be wasting time. The Empress will have me head, and then all of yours. Haven't you seen the excavation site? There's real treasure there. Bones of the beast. The site's close. It has to be. There's more stones to break, more earth to turn. We need to get there.
Lucky find.
The spirit sings a long-forgotten tune in a long-forgotten language. One, it seems, with the ever-revolving wheels of space and time. Biting deep into the rotting flesh, your senses are assailed with a rank odor of meat long past its prime. Your memory wavers and becomes not your own, but the memory of one who led the most solitary of lives. You see myriad wings flapping, your hand scattering birdseed. You hear the screeching of eagles, the tearing of flesh. All of your life is centered on this place, this pedestal of death. All of your life is dedicated to feeding your eagles the meat of your dearly departed people.
Let's hope none are earmarked for me. Look out. I see a trap nearby.
If graves you dig, I'll warn you now. Beware the creak and then the click. Then comes the bang, then comes the bang! Close your eyes and listen.
The spirit's memories play out before you in darkest black. The sound alone relates the tale. A self-styled archaeologist, some would call you a grave robber, you found the grave of Baron Wilmart Hogg IV. Your footsteps crunch light upon the gravel as you approach the tomb. You know that Hogg was avaricious, paranoid, and cruel, and you yourself value the first of these two traits most highly. You ease your way up to the grave and run your hand around the lid, searching for a trap. You find nothing. The wind whispers in the trees, and the grass rustles quietly. You slide the lid open with a creak. Click. Uh-oh, you think. Bang. The silence of the night is rent with a sound of screaming. You're screaming as you burn to death.
Commiserations, he says. I knew the risks. If graves you'd open, beware the creak, and then the click. Then comes the bang, then comes the bang! I have only one regret. I didn't get the loot, I didn't get the loot! First came the creak, and then the click. Then came the bang, then came the bang! Creak, click, bang!
Look out. I see a trap nearby.
claw desperately at the cave wall, trying to get enough purchase to crawl away. But they're slick with water and something else. You fall back into an unknown horror's embrace. Huge fangs caress your neck. You shut your eyes with a whimper.
You opened the grave, you heard the creak, click, bang, and then you banged. Creak, click, bang.
A sinner I, and who is not? The sinner lies that they sin not. A sinner lies. And yet the boneyard's full of sinners who got their prayers, while I did not.
Come on, mistress. Hear me, heed me. You've always had a glint in your eye for old Zimski. Don't abandon me now.
Zimski mutters to himself as he traces sigils in the dirt. He spies you, and a shrewd look brightens his eyes. He stretches out a hand, showing you a solitary coin on his palm.
Heads or tails? A canny one, you are. That's what Lady Luck herself always whispered to me in the night. Much good it did me. All my life I served her, and see how it ends? In the dirt, just the same as everybody else.
Turning from you, he crouches back to the dirt. He resumes tracing esoteric sigils, his fingertips swirling through the graveyard clay.
Her signs to call her. Oh, Lady Luck always came when I called. For 30 years we roamed Rivellon together. She was my faithful mistress, from card game to wager to grift. She was the life of me. Yet she wants no dead man. Now I cannot influence even a coin toss. But you breathe. I'll wager you've more use for my gifts than I do. Here, tell me what you truly value. If my lady sees fit, I'll give you what I truly value in return. Good enough?
He smiles a foxy smile as he stabs claw-like fingers at your chest. He begins to trace sigils on your flesh. Though you cannot feel his fingers upon your skin, something inside you shifts. You feel a coldness, and a sick longing seeps into your heart. He croons incantations as he works, and his voice is like the throwing of 1,000 dice inside your brain. Your body is suddenly filled with lust for coin and craving for more.
Ah, now you feel her touch. Now Lady Luck sings in your blood as she once did in mine. And now I feel nothing.
The dog growls and bares its teeth at you in a wide, unsettling grin. You swear you see a worm emerge from its grey-pink gums, then burrow back in.
Come closer. I dare you.